Alright, so Kingdom Under Fire 2, the game that I've literally been waiting for 10 years, is finally reaching the end of its cycle and it's finally starting to actually come out over here in America. This is something that I have been screaming about in my head for years, and everyone I know that this is exciting and this is awesome, you should totally get this game, and they have all been looking at me like, what the fuck, a year or two later, after the 30 cancellations that went through and the thousands of delays. It was heartbreaking, but it's finally coming out, so I can be excited. Before I start talking about the game, though, first and foremost, I need to give a thank you to Angry Joe, and he might not know what this is for, because I am going to outright take his video and use his interview for it. Apologies in advance, but I have no means of actually getting any of that information myself via developer, and I could have I would have given a lot to be there and actually do that myself, because I would have gone in depth on all this stuff because I know about the background of the fucking games. But alas, I wasn't. So thank you in advance, and I hope you tolerate this at the very least. We should probably begin with talking about the past games. The first game, I believe, was a PC game called Kingdom Under Fire: A War of Heroes. That was a very, very old game. Let me read you an quote from it that I'm reading on this wiki page. Visually, there are 6 sets of background schemes. Those of dungeons have modulation effects, and 5 frames of character animation. Woo! The game contains 7 units, 1 type of resource, and tens of items. The 2 players will be able to play simultaneously in ladder mode and league mode multiplayer games over the internet. I don't know about you, but that sounds terrible to me. Now, I'm gonna define this game in one word phrasing. This is to me, this might not be everyone. This game might hold a place in other people's hearts, but to me, I played Crusaders first, so I guess I was spoiled. There is a strong difference between retro and outdated. Retro, you can go back to any time. For me, that's StarCraft Brood War. I can go back to that game anytime and still have fun playing around with the game, and I can really enjoy the gameplay. Outdated is something you can never go back to and don't want to go back to. That's this. I played through about 2 missions and I didn't find anything notable or interesting, and these were custom missions, or the equivalent to that thereof in the game. There was nothing I could really say about the game at all. You're gonna have to go someplace else if you want an interesting perspective on this, because I didn't play and I don't want to play. It's quite simply that it is outdated to me, and I can't bear myself to play. Now, carrying on, years later, there was the Xbox release of Kingdom Under Fire: The Crusaders, which blew my fucking mind 10 years ago, and honestly still does today, because most games nowadays can't even hold a candle to that still, which is saddening and extremely disheartening for the gaming genre, but still, I will continue to hope that something interesting comes out, which that'll even surpass that, but I don't know. Who knows? And this has literally been the game, Kingdom Under Fire: The Crusaders, mind you, is the game that continues to give me hope in gaming. From 10 years ago. Disappointing, I know. Kingdom Under Fire: The Crusaders was pretty much an RPG, and a character action beat-em-up-esque. When you got into combat, you would pretty much take control of one of the 4 hero characters, that being number 1, which is the easy campaign, Gerald; number 2, which is the medium campaign, Lucrezia; number 3 or 4, depending on which order you would like to do it, Rainier and Kendall. Those were the 4 characters you could play as, and once you picked your character, you were pretty much set on a course. The story was extremely linear, which was fine, 100% fine, and perfectly okay at the time. And you could do whatever you want in battle. It was like a little playground when you weren't being directly guided by the mission stated. You could build an army of sappers for all the game cared, as long as you progressed. There was no limitations. Granted, there was recommendeds that you could do, and I highly recommend having 1 infantry, which you're actually forced to with the hero unit, and one archer, because otherwise you won't be able to kill anything that's in the sky above you. Now, once you pick your army and set it out on the world map, you go into a battlefield, which is the RTS portion. You can control your characters, the 4 armies you have command of, well, I should not say 4 armies, the 4 troops you have command of, along with 2 support units, which kind of don't count because they're somewhat useless unless they're crazily high, I shouldn't say that, crazily high leveled over the enemy's units. They will not do as much damage, which is something I will bring up as a major suggestion. You should probably change that. There's probably been major patches for the support units. I saw swamp mammoths and I saw lots of dwarven bombers, and hopefully there's been major updates to the support units because they needed to become of use. The only time that you would ever really see damage being done to you was when the AI was using them. It was very disappointing. Once you get back to the RTS mode, when you chose and you actually got engaged in your hero troop, you could command your hero, that being Gerald, Lucrezia, Kendall, or Rainier. Upon the fight, you just went crazy. You could do whatever you want. It was literally a character action. You just slashed, killed, hack and slash, whatever you like to do, you could do it in the combat. Or you could not do anything and just make your guys sit there and get beat on, for all you care. It doesn't matter. It was awesome. It was, at the time, blew my mind, and today still impresses me that they were able to do it. Fantastic game. If you want to look at it more in depth, I'm probably going to put a link somewhere on the screen or in the description, definitely, to the playthrough that I did of it. I completed this. That's pretty much all I have to say, because I don't want to bog down this video with 100 hours of me just talking about the game in depth. I've already spent too much time on this. I've already spent about half the video from my point of view speaking about Crusaders, so I want to move on to Heroes, the later game that was released 1 year later. Shocking, I know. This game was quite literally, I mean, did I say Crusaders or Heroes? I meant to say Heroes if I said Crusaders. Heroes. This game came out a year later and was quite literally an update of Crusaders. It filled in a lot of the story you got from Crusaders, and I don't want to spoil anything, so if you want to actually see the story, you can look it up on my channel. I have playthroughs. I'm gonna have a playthrough of Heroes done shortly, hopefully. I haven't done past the first episode so far, but I have fully completed Crusaders. So Heroes pretty much filled in all the gaps that you were left in, and some interesting portions of Crusaders, like, oh, what was this unit doing at this specific time when everyone else was on the other side of the map? Why did these people just kind of disappear from the story altogether? What were they doing during that time frame? Not to mention, they had an insane amount of updates to the gameplay itself. And there were small changes. They just completely revamped some parts, like the leveling system. Again, I'm going to leave most of this to my playthrough, or your personal experience, or your preference playthrough, or Let's Player, depending on whatever you want. If you find me intolerable, go do that, because I highly recommend, even if you fucking hate me, to go check out those games. They are so awesome and need to be experienced if you intend or have any interest in Kingdom Under Fire 2. They are fantastic, and this is what this game is getting its lifeblood off of. Kingdom Under Fire 2 is getting its lifeblood from Kingdom Under Fire, the Crusaders, and Kingdom Under Fire, the Heroes. The Heroes? Really? Anyways, I'm going to try to continue on as much as I can. Look at the playthrough for more. I've pretty much explained the majority of the changes in Crusaders, and will continue to do so in Heroes when I go back to it. Now, the next game in this series was released on the Xbox 360. That game is what the game, it's the black sheep. It's the one that some people don't like to talk about. It's not very fun. It is Kingdom Under Fire Circle of Doom. Is a game with an outstanding story, simply because it's Kingdom Under Fire and you learn what these characters are going through, and it's interesting to see the interior of Enkablosa, one of the gods, the god of the Age of Darkness. It's awesome in story, and the atmosphere and some of the environments are cool, and the monster designs are really interesting the first time you see them. Now, I say the first time you see them because this whole game is a grind. The story is few, far between, and to some people lacks complete direction whatsoever. And you're just wandering around, kind of like Duke Nukem when you were trying to find secrets for the first time, where you're just jamming your fingers into every single wall waiting for one of them to open. Pretty much what happened, and combined with the long loading times and not that intriguing combat, you can probably see the... I'm hopefully putting it up in the background over my voiceover of the combat. It's not very interesting. You can pull off some awesome combos, but apart from comboing and some neat little spells, there is not much to speak about with this game. It's a sad thing, but it's true. This game sucked and was pretty much just a lot of grinding. Oh, speaking of grinding, I'm apologizing entirely, but Heroes had, with all the additions that they did, added grind missions. The worst fucking thing you will ever see in a game, I shit you not. Apart from escort missions, this is it. All it is you pop into a field, and this is coming off like an extremely difficult mission in Heroes, because the missions in Heroes are unbelievably difficult. I don't know how I'm going to do when I play them. I'm probably going to suck at them, but if it was anything like Crusaders and I just breezed by them, the really challenging parts, I'm sorry, because I missed out on a major opportunity to show how hard these missions are. Some of the missions can be extremely difficult and will make you want to rip your hair out. And then you get to a grind mission and you get all the satisfaction. You get to a grind mission and you just pop into the world. It says destroy all enemies on the screen and you just go at it with no music. It is the most boring thing ever, and you do that about for half your gameplay time in Heroes. And Heroes is a big game. It took well over a day of game time, my first time to beat it. That's a lot of time on grind missions. That's over 12 hours. Not to mention, the grind missions are incredibly easy. You are literally just walking from place to place to place to place, and you'll get a pattern. I guarantee you, if you play the game yourself, you will get a pattern. Going in the empty and generic maps ranging from small, medium to large, anywhere from 10 to 30 units on the map at one time, you will get incredibly bored with what you're doing, and after doing 2 or 3 of those in a row, you will want to shoot yourself by all regards and do anything to stop playing this. It was a terrible idea, and something that I will mention later on when I get into Kingdom Under Fire's 2 more. The grinding was still a factor in Circle of Doom, though. It was done differently. The majority of the grinding is what you're going to be doing, is you're going to be leveling up your character via synthesis. That I will talk about in the Circle of Doom, but I highly recommend. Synthesis is a thing that I never really got fully into. I did it on one character, and after that, I have completely forgotten it over the years. So I highly recommend you look on, I think IGN has like 13 guys or something. But type in Kingdom Under Fire Circle of Doom Synthesis Guide and read everything that there is to know about synthesis. That was the system that most people spent their time doing in Circle of Doom. That was it. That was the grinding portion, not to mention grinding your abilities, which weren't really that useful once you had items and gear and stuff. But you get the point. All of Circle of Doom was grinding, and coming off of Heroes, I think they have a grinding pattern going on. Not a fan of it. Okay, so that's all that I can talk about in this video, because I'm already about 13 minutes, around 14-ish, about just simply talking about the past. Time to talk about the future. Hopefully I'm going to keep this as short as possible. I don't want this video to go over 30, so why am I still talking and adding in filler? I don't know. Probably to get more Circle of Doom footage in there, because that stuff is necessary to see. I hope you enjoy every last second of that. Alright, let's go to Kingdom Under Fire 2. The obvious elephant in the room is free to play with Kingdom Under Fire 2. It is 100% a free to play game, which broke my fucking heart upon hearing that. I have nothing wrong against free to play games, but I do believe that the optimal way to do your game is in a Guild Wars 2-esque. I think I was spoiled by that, because you paid the $60 and you never had to give another cent. Even if you wanted more of the cash shop items, you could trade in-game currency for gold to get them. I would have preferred the game style to be, the payment style to be more like that. I absolutely despise the $15 a month style. It is terrible, and very, very, very few games should be allowed to do it. WoW being the exception still. WoW is one of the biggest exceptions because it is so massive just out of its tenure of how long it's existed. And every time an X-Pack comes out, the game gets a new life. It's interesting to see it change over the years, and can't wait to see more of WoW in the future. I'm not really a big fan of it, but it is there. So, back to the payment style, Kingdom Under Fire 2. This sucks. There's no way to get around it. It just outright fucking sucks. It could just absolutely kill the game. There's no way to describe it. We've all experienced that terrible style free-to-play game that's so incredibly pay-to-win, and then there's that sneaky free-to-play game that's pay-to-win, where you don't notice it, and then you hit this wall somewhere around your 10th or 12th or 14th or 20th hour into the game that you spent on a specific character. You hit this wall, and you can no longer progress as well as you could have, or you're slowly losing in PvP just outright. You're getting slaughtered for no real reason apart cash items being thrown at you or against you that you didn't notice before, or locked areas that require cash. Not entertaining. My absolute favorite, which there is, I will take, this is one of the clips from Angry Joe's, and I will be introducing those into the video currently. Thank you again, Angry Joe. There is a anvil that I saw, and it was an upgrade system. I believe it was enchanting. I have seen this in the worst possible way. Pandora Saga Weapons of Fate, I believe, is a good example of that. It's free to play on Steam, I believe. You can still go on there and get it. Maybe. I don't know. I haven't checked recently. But the game, pretty much what happens is you have a set range to 10, and this is a common thing in games. It happens often in free to play. It's an upgrade system of 10, and it's usually fair up until round 5, then it starts getting crazy and disadvantages, and I'm one that'll easily put money down on 20 to 80, odds 20 being the winning, and I usually come out happy with that. But when the odds go into the favor of, let's say you're a level 9 item, and you spend so much time and money getting this item there, and then you have a 2% chance to get to the level 10, the highest, the strongest this weapon could possibly be. You look at your percentage, and what do you see? Oh, I have a whopping 1% success ratio. How am I going to fix this? You immediately jump to the cash shop, because you know that's what the problem is, and there's 50% singing. There's these 50% chance items, there's these 60, there's these 70, but no 80s or 90s. So you buy the closest one you can possibly get because you love your item, you love your character. You set that item down, you hit the craft with an 80%, 81% chance, and the fucking thing breaks and explodes on you. That sucks. That outright sucks. That's one of the worst possible ways you can do a free-to-play, and if this happens, I think I'm gonna scream. Please note, I have been waiting for this game for 10 years. This is something that I would love to see succeed, but my heart is screaming that it's going to fail every time I think about pay to win. I don't want to know anything about this game. I don't want to look up any Korean players and the Let's Players and Asian or whatever it was released in. I'm trying to stick as basic as I can, trying to take in what little they are letting out officially, and I'm just trying to look at the game without looking at the gameplay and making commentary on what I believe the game will be, or my suggestions to the game that I'm seeing currently. That is terrifying to me. The whole crafting the synthesis, terrifying to me.
So we are not pay to win game, but his philosophy is making really good game, free-to-play game for players. So if you are a very good game player, you don't have to pay any cash.
You can get through the entire game if you're a good player. So, what specific things do you buy with money?
So there are some appearance items, so you can make your character very unique from other players. For example, if you use Cubic, you can expand a slot in inventory, or you can recruit more troops.
Okay, so in certain missions, I remember there's a restriction to the troops that you bring. But if you want to have a greater variety of troops in your inventory to select from, then you can increase the inventory slots. And same thing with the open world element, where if you want to, find all the crafting items in the game, your inventory might get full from the loot you've been collecting, and then you just pay more for more inventory slots. Is that how it works?
Exactly.
Okay, awesome. Okay, cool.
They have increased unit slots. That can really be a problem, because with 700 or something plus units, I believe they said. Yeah, 700 types of monsters. How many of those are actually usable is my main question. How many of those are actually usable? If a lot of them are, you're going to be running dastardly thin. And if they put a limit of like, oh, you can get 4 to 5 to 7 to 12 units even, and there's a whopping 50, you're going to be extremely behind and not have any variety whatsoever compared to other players. You're going to be left at a disadvantage regardless, and you're almost going to have to buy. Granted, it's free to play, so I don't mind tossing around 60 to 80 bucks on it. I don't mind that. I really don't. That's fine. But once you start absolutely forcing people to need to pay in your free-to-play game, you have officially failed in your free-to-play. Apparently, you're allowed to get to the end, no matter what happens. I believe she stated you can get to the end without paying anything if you're a good enough player. I was a good enough player. I beat Heroes, okay? That game's fucking no joke. I also beat Crusaders. And their style is, typically, they limit your amount of units and throw increasingly amount of units at you in unfair positions. And they give the AI an insane unfair advantage. It's gonna make you want to add more units, and it's definitely gonna make you want to pay for anything that can give you an upper hand on the AI. That is a fault that might happen and scares me. If you want to see how bad it can get, Heroes, I highly recommend looking at Maureen's campaign, the second actual mission past the grind missions. If you want a specific thing, that mission is fucking hell. That is one of the missions that I'm speaking of, the second story mission, mind you, not the second grind mission. I should probably title the hell mission in the Maureen portion of Heroes Under Fire. I mean, Heroes Under Fire, what the fuck? Kingdom Under Fire Heroes. That'll be there. So, I highly recommend look at that if you want to see how unfair it can get. Excuse me, I need to move Audacity to cover up this video that has been distracting. I have the Kingdom Under Fire MMOG Asia on the screen right now because I'm going to talk about the classes. Actually, right now. So, the classes. So far, there are 3 classes that I've been seeing for years, the generic classes. The Gunslinger. Now let me read you what the Gunslinger is. Gunslingers are a human class that forms the biggest community in Berzia. They're equipped with a longsword, full-plate armor, and I am speaking correctly. I'll put the site in the description, look it up yourself. Full-plate armor. They have never been fancy on their translations, or even moderately good, but it still is there. Full-plate armor and a rifle that has been reduced in length. They have mastered the hand-to-hand battle in the swords on their right hand and perfect ranged attacks in the guns on their left hands. Never knew human beings had more than one hand. Had more than 2 hands, I'm sorry. Right hands and left hands. Interesting. So far, this character is incredibly generic. I've been seeing him for years, so sorry, I'm gonna call him generic. He's the generic Dave, or generic Duke, or generic Bob, or whatever you'd like to call your generics. In this game, he's incredibly boring and incredibly silly, and I don't believe there's a female variant of it. I've only seen human males, which is kind of disheartening because that limits the customization you can do. I highly recommend you add a female gender or at least some kind of gender option into it, because Gunslinger, they look a little silly to me. They look like the cocky bastard that would walk in and get killed in the first 2 minutes by an orc with a battle axe. To me, in the battle, it's just, you look it up yourself, you can see why. Then you have the spell sword. Sorry, the pose makes me laugh. Spell swords are selected dark elf female warriors that specialize in ice magic and unbelievable speed that gives them advantages in assassination. They are able to sweep away They are able to sweep away all nearby enemies with their traditional arch-shaped sword and cast Blizzard to freeze the targets in no time. This is a character class that I also don't believe will ever have a male variant. Dark elf males are rare, so that's more acceptable. But with human females being in existence and being in play on the battlefield, often Ellen being the most prime example, I would love to see more of that. Dark elf, sure, you've had very, very few human male dark elves in the game. I can understand it, and I believe Ellen was the only female fighter, but over the years, with all the warfare that's been happening in Bersia, I believe the armies would be stretched thin. So maybe you should add a male dark elf. I don't know, not certain, depending on the skill set, but you should definitely think about it, consider it. And last but not least, oh wait, no, apologies. I want to speak about the dark elves, the appearance for the paler characters. From what I'm seeing is a very humanoid looking elf. Not even close to a dark elf, looks actually like most elves that I've seen in pretty much every game. They just look like a generic elf, they look nothing like dark elves. Dark elves, if you probably saw in the Heroes or Crusaders gameplay that I put in the background, have a unique look, and they have a definitely darker skin tone, so I would really appreciate you having a skin color variation to get a more traditional dark elf. And also, I would like to see the pink dark elves that you had in Heroes, which were absolutely hysterical. They made no sense, and I have no idea why they were there, but they were funny to see nonetheless. And if you want to see, I should actually have a picture of one of them that I'm putting up. Last but not least, out of the 3 open released classes, not counting the 2 that they're going to be adding, which but I'll leave that for later. The Berserker. Berserkers are living creatures in the Age of Light who were swept to the Dark Dimension while the Age was change. However, they managed to survive from it by changing to mutated forms. They wield their swords around in battle as nobody gets closer, and are armed with gauntlets to unleash the Berserker's ability. Here's one thing that really bothers me. The mutated human title in Kingdom Under Fire has always been held strong by Rainier. Rainier being the main badass that is absolutely 100% impossible to kill in every scenario until you play as him. I'm not joking, he is literally impossible to kill. No matter what you do, he cannot be killed. Rainier's troop cannot be wiped out from the battlefield. He cannot die unless a player character is controlling him. A player is controlling him. He's a player character. As an NPC, he's unkillable. That means Rainier has always been unkillable. He's always been the god, and he's always been the definition of badass for me. This is more of the community aspect, and I will actually bring up Angry Joe again here in a moment. Alright, gonna make this as quick as possible. I made an entirely different video because it went a little bit too long. I think it was about 15 minutes. Go look at the description or annotation and click on that for the other video talking about the Aegis army, the Angry Army. Go there. Now. Just do it. 15 seconds is good enough. 16, 18, god damn it, I'll keep running it on now. But the Berserker would pretty much just, hey look, you can play as Rainier! That's pretty much what they're trying to do with this. It is sickening to me because I know what's going to happen. You're going to see a Jefferson McFarts-a-lot or Jeff Fred Fox or something running around because silliness, and he's going to be in pink armor, and he's just going to be bunny hopping all over the place, and he's going to be in Speedo and spandex and bullshit. Oh, common MMO bullshit that you'll see eventually, and someone in like bubblegum armor, and he's looking like he came out directly of a circus, and he has the most ridiculous name ever. You've officially, with that, killed the badassatry of being a Berserker by making it a playable character, by making the Mutanteds a playable character. Congratulations, Rainier is now nothing special. You have given everyone the ability to become a god on the battlefield, and an indestructible tank, and an indestructible killing machine. Be proud of yourself. Granted, there's easily going to be some balancing, so a gunslinger could take down a mutated human, and the mutated humans that there are, I'm assuming, at the end of, this is now spoilers by the way, at the end of Crusaders, you took, no matter which side you played, Kendall or Rainier, you took an army into Ekablosa, and you fought, therefore trapping you into Circle of Doom. And that's the events that happens in Circle of Doom, is you trying to escape, figuring out what's happening, and some of the characters dealing with their mental states. That, I'm assuming, what the Berserkers are one of the humans that escaped Circle of Doom, which led, and therefore they left Ekablosa's dimension. The Ekablosa being the god of darkness, or the Age of Dark, the ruler of the Age of Dark. His counterpart being Nibel, the ruler of the Age of Light, which is what Kingdom of Fire has always stood for. If you want to see more of this playthrough, just gonna say that. Which opens up the floodgate, because Kendall's out. They have confirmed that Kendall is out of Circle of Doom. He is going to be a PS4 exclusive character. I hate that, but he is going to be an exclusive character for PS4, and I believe you can play, like, I'm probably going to be 1 or 2 missions or something, or a short little story. Please make that a timed exclusive, because as a long-term fan of the series, I would love to see that. But if you make it a permanent exclusive to PS4, it's going to be very disheartening for me that you did that. Just saying that. Right. So, I should state who was with them in Circle of Doom. Both Kendall and Rainier both entered Circle of Doom. Kendall had Dwayne with him, so he should be out as well. And Thomas, who should also be out as well, not to mention whatever type of armies you had with you at the time going into Circle of Doom. This is a major thing, because that means both these characters should be out. We should be seeing something from them. And also that would explain the influx of mutated humans. Now, let's get to Rainier's side, which is a lot more interesting. You have Rainier, which is a combination of Hexter and Veland forces. It is 100% Hexter and Veland forces mixture. So that pretty much means Hexter is orcs and ogres, and Veland is dark elves, for the most part. You most likely had a Veland troop being archers, and you most likely had, and you guaranteed, had an orc troop being your heavy infantry. There was little ways around that, and if you could do it without having a single archer troop in that his whole campaign, congratulate you, and I really want to see how that worked out. Most players, what I'm saying is most players will have a Veland troop, which means that there's probably some mutated orcs, and there's probably some mutated Veland troops. I would love to see mutated Veland troops. I really would. That might actually take the place of a female berserker. That would be awesome. Having a mutated Veland troop, just take away its magic dependency, give it, let's say the mutation cuts off some of its magic abilities. So they're stuck with minute amounts of healing magic, because Veland troops were always strong with that. They were really powerful healers. It's one of their most beautiful things. They even had a natural ability, a racial ability, that they healed whenever they were in tree lines or in a forest. It was awesome, making him my favorite choice. Orcs, you could do very well with mutated, by the way. You can simply, how to do orcs, you can make them a combination of scorpion, which were a troop, a mixture of scorpions and black wyverns, I want to say. Not swamp wyverns, because that's a swamp mammoth. But black wyverns, scorpions, and orcs. Find a way to mix that, and you'll have your perfect mutated. Thin the orc out a little bit, and don't give it wings or anything stupid like that. But definitely change it in the way that everyone gets changed. It would be easy, because it would, if its change was into something it knew, it would accept it more. Much more interesting, and you could always go the path of making Ogre a playable character as well. Because Urukubar, the only ogre, which I don't think you should actually do ogres for this one reason. Rainier went in with Urukubar and Lionheart, by the way. They should both be out as well. the only reason I'm adding up these characters and the mutated is because you have the Berserkers, which are 100% a mutated human, probably from Kendall's troop, because you can only use humans, really. There you can have some dwarves as leaders and some, elves as leaders as well, officers. But all in all, they didn't do much. You could go through with only humans. A couple people probably did go through with only humans on that one, because they are kind of optional. All in all, when you look at it, you don't need to pick elves, you don't need to pick dwarves. It's actually going to limit the amount of things you can do if you do pick elves or dwarves, so people could have skipped that in Crusaders. It would make sense why you don't have one of those, but to not have a dark elf and an orc seems a little eh. At least, at the very least, you can put something in there. The reason I say mutated is because, well, what if they got out without not being mutated? Bullshit, almost everyone gets mutated. That was the whole premise of Circle of Doom, is that it will, in order to survive the Circle of Doom, you have to mutate yourself. There is no way around it. You're going to be a little bit mutated no matter what happens, and you're going to lose parts of yourself in the past. It's just going to happen. You're going to have to leave everything that you were behind to survive Circle of Doom. That was the cool part about it, and that was one of the interesting parts about the story. So I would love to see that come to fruition in Kingdom Under Fire 2. Another class I wanted to say was Human Mage, or even Dark Elf Mage. Just a flat-out mage class would be interesting to see. Mages have always been prevalent. There's even been a specific unit that were human mages. I would love to see more of that. Male or female, I don't give a shit. But a human mage class would be definitely appreciated if you want just a generic class to fill in your boundaries, to give players a bit more of an open experience. Plus, you already have all the effects and everything done, pretty much. I'm trying to think of a skill tree. This one's I'm a little bit iffy about, but nah. It really just depends. One thing that you absolutely must do is add a half vampire. Half vampires are pretty much bloodsuckers, and they used to be in command of Veland until it fell at the end of Heroes, or kind of Crusaders-ish, you could say. But Veland falls out of control of the vampires and goes into warring tribes again. You could totally do a half vamp character, because people have been loving them. For one, my own instance, I absolutely love Marine when you play as her in Heroes. Wasn't a fan of Lionheart, but Marine was definitely outstanding to play as. She was really quick, really agile, was great at hit and runs, and had some awesome AoE. Granted, you had to use a lot of your mana SP to use her abilities, but it was so worth it in the long run. It was a really fun, entertaining thing to play. You could easily fit it back into the game as a half vampire. In fact, it's probably going to be one of the two you add into the game upon the release.
And what about classes for when we create our characters? You can create your character, correct? Mm-hmm. And then what kind of classes come with it?
So currently there are 3 classes in Southeast Asia OBT, but we are currently under development 2 more classes. So when we officially release our Kingdom Under Fire 2 in North American market, there'll be 5 classes totally.
So here's hoping for that. Let's see, anything left in my notes I actually want to talk about, because I'm running over 30 minutes now. I've been a bit rambly in this. I usually am. Apologies. 2 new classes, single player story till level 30. Oof.
So even though players do single mode game, there are some hurdles he has to pass. So he has to level up his troops and get some better items. So until level 30, he will have to spend like 300 or 400 hours.
Alright, so I probably already did the video saying single player story till level 30. 300 to 400 hours. 300 to 400 hours to hit level 30 per character. That's longer than most people have lived. Well, not most people, but some people. You will officially play this game longer than more people have lived. If you do that. That is not a great idea, and that is definitely disheartening. Because that means I'm probably going to have one character and nothing but that one character. The level 30, 300 hours, 300 to 400 hours, level 30, really? It's gonna take me 100 hours per 10 levels? Oh my god, I'm having PTSD from Heroes, I'm not joking. Heroes And Circle of Doom, holy fuck, that is not a good thing at all. That means that they're not going to have an entertaining, rich story or narrative the whole time through. It will be blank, extremely generic, kill everyone, go back to town, 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 kill everyone, go back to town. Nothing interesting happening for over 150 hours, I can guarantee you. That almost made me want to lose my shit. Now, Joe was actually kind of hyped about that, if you noticed, if I actually put enough of that video in. Most people would be like, oh yeah, but to anyone who's played Circle of Doom and Kingdom Under Fire Heroes, that's not good. That means that a lot of it's going to be blank, generic grinding. That's not great at all. I highly recommend everyone to... I don't know. I honestly don't know what to say about this, because I'm still emotional about this game. And until it actually comes out, it will be the only thing I'm emotional about. After it comes out, that'll probably be the last of my emotions, but... I can't really speak about this because it's giving me a heart attack even thinking about how long this game could be if I wanted to have 2 characters. That's about 800 hours at max, from the developer's perspective. Not to mention with the 5 characters that's going to happen upon the US open release. That's a lot of hours. That's 1,200 with 3, 1,600 with 4. And if you want to get all characters level 30, that would be about 2,000 hours you put into the game. Does this scream EXP boost to anyone else, or is it just me? I mean, the game could be dependent on EXP boost to survive. You could become an EXP boost drug addict. To survive in this game on secondary characters that you want to see more of the skill trees, more advanced fighting styles. Because after 300 hours, no amount of jiggle physics on both male and females, mind you, will keep me anywhere near entertained enough to go through another 400 hours of the same exact thing I did before. That's gonna scare me. I'm not gonna lie. That is one of the things that, apart from the free-to-play, everything else is one of the worst things. That could actually be because of the free-to-play aspect. They could want to make people addicted to the XP boost that you need in the game, that you'll need in the game to progress. And yes, if you're a good enough player, you can spend 400 hours. Most people who could be good enough players, though, will not want to. I will probably... If this is true, I will probably have 1 character maxed and a couple characters that are level 1s and nothing else. That'll be it. That'll probably be it. Because I cannot even comprehend me spending 2,000 hours leveling multiple characters. That doesn't even include endgame shit, where you're still getting the final gear that you need and getting the proper appearance stones or whatever you're gonna probably do. Because I'm hoping that they have some kind of appearance overlay. Be very entertaining and add into the armor, blah blah blah. I don't know what to say honestly anymore. It's terrible. It's the 300, 400 hours. I'm just staring at on my note sheet and it's not good. It's not good. Well, let's see what happens when it actually comes out. Because from my perspective, I'm getting a heart attack. I had to do this video. I know it seems kind of half-assed, but I absolutely had to. It's probably going to be the first video I put up. Half-assed, I know. It's going to be entertaining. To me, at least. If nobody else. But this is going to happen. It's finally happening, and I don't know whether to be excited or to be terrified of it. But this is finally happening, and... I don't know. I've waited 10 years. If the game gets delayed anymore, I'll just forget about it entirely for another year. Then come back to it. And then see that it's a flop. I don't know. It's terrifying me. I don't have anything to say because I'm absolutely terrified about this last game. The last hope I had for gaming is gonna outright flop. Well, apparently they're going to have another game, though, that they're going to release in 2017, though. That's the same thing as this, so, you know, that might be good. I really don't think so, though. Here's hoping this becomes one of the best MMOs that will ever be, and hopefully be the pinnacle of free-to-play gaming. Odds are not in its favor, and I am outright scared of what's going to happen for the future. But, you know, there's only one thing that can happen. You just wait and see what happens. I know I'm rambling on around a lot right now, but there's no way to actually properly say this. It's 4 in the morning right now, 4 a.m., and this is me signing off.